All right, welcome to Meeting of the Minds. Today we got Coach Manya Puppione from Marymount University. We're going to talk a little bit about the mental side of sports, some of her coaching philosophy, and what she's got going down there with the team that's helping them drive to be better players and better people. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, Jake. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So start us off. Just give us, a quick elevator pitch of what's going on at Marymount, and a little bit about the program and the school, and why it's a place that soccer players should look at as a place to go compete collegiately.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started at Marymount last April, so I've been there a little over a year as a head coach, and it was a place that right away I knew it was gonna feel like family. So for me and my team culture, that is something that we focus on is, we're a family, we got each other's backs, we're going to have a lot of fun, but we're going to compete like crazy to win too. So Marymount's located in Arlington, Virginia. It's just outside DC. From our game field, you can see the Washington Monument. We're right near the Pentagon. We drive by every single morning for practice. It's a smaller university, about 3,200 students or so. We specialize in a lot of the health science majors, nursing, pre-med, biochem, all that fun stuff. But we also have some really good programs like criminal justice, business, education, engineering. We have a really good fashion and interior design program. But I mean, like I said earlier, like it's a family, and we're very, very close knit, and we do have a lot of fun. We do some cool soccer stuff. I played at a pretty high level, so I take all the experiences that I've had as a player and take them into my coaching.
Yeah, no, well, thank you so much. Being close to DC has got to be very cool. Very busy area, a lot happening.
Yeah.
Now, as far as your team, is it mostly people from Virginia, or is it more cosmopolitan as far as people from throughout the country?
Yeah, I mean, we do attract students from the DMV area, DC, Maryland and Virginia. We do want to attract the talented local players, but I value diversity. I've lived all over the place, including 2 years in Europe. So I want my team to experience that diversity too. If you surround yourself with the same type of people, same type of personality, same background, socioeconomic, like you're not going to really grow and be exposed to what is really out there in the world. So for me, I value that diversity. And, we've got some California kids coming, Florida, Colorado. We've had a girl from Wisconsin, Connecticut. So definitely looking all over. We actually have a player coming from Puerto Rico too, which we're pretty excited about. We're going international.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I know as an individual, I grew up in Missouri, and moving to Philadelphia and coming to the University of Pennsylvania really put me in a position to grow as an individual. Kind of like you said, like if you only have the same experiences and are only around the same people, you kind of get stuck in that echo chamber. And, echo chambers sometimes can be good and sometimes bad. But I would much rather have an echo chamber of my own creation, where I make sure that I've very carefully cultivated who's in that for a reason, rather than just be where I genetically and randomly ended up in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that you did mention that, because, for us, we're very intentional about the student athletes that we recruit. We want talented people on the field, but we want good people, we want good teammates, good citizens. We're very involved in the community, and overall, we're just looking to, help develop and grow those good people and prepare them for the real world. So we can be very, very choosy about who we bring into our family.
Yeah, that's great. That's what allows a team program to continue to grow and prosper. Recruiting is a huge piece of that.
Absolutely.
So obviously you're looking for talented players, right? Like, we talk about the importance of the mental side or the character side of sports, but there's a certain base level of technique or skill that's going to be necessary. But other than that, what are some of the qualities you look for when you're recruiting, high school athletes to come join your family?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, skill is important. That's something that you can work on yourself. We can bring them into our, team training and develop them technically. But for us, it's, leadership skills. We talk about the different types of leaders. You can be that servant leader behind the scenes, lead by example. Working on those one-on-one personal relationships. And that's how I was, so I'm definitely attracted to those types of leaders. But you can also be that, one out in front and just doing what we expect our teammates to do and doing that. So, we try to find those leaders and look to continue to develop them and give them opportunities to lead. I've been through a lot of stuff up and down, different situations, and I'm not going to always give them the answers if I see them going through something that I went through, but I'm going to help them, guide them, and, just help them develop. So, definitely some leadership skills. If they're self-motivated, that's huge. You can have all these coaches and parents and your teammates and your friends like telling you, okay, you got to go out and run, you got to go do stuff on your own. But, if you're not intrinsically motivated to do that, like you're not going to excel at that next level. So, we want those student athletes that, in the classroom, off the field, on the field, they're just looking to, do it because, they have that hard work ethic and, they want to get better and they want to grow and improve as a person.
Yeah, no, for sure. Motivation, really is that piece that allows us to go from, that desire to, the fulfillment of whatever that goal is that we're going after.
Yeah.
I have found, as a coach and as an athlete personally, that, motivation's easy when things are going well and gets more difficult as things maybe start to become more difficult. Maybe adversity pops up, whether it be, you're playing poorly. You realize that you're behind where you thought you were, or maybe it's an injury that pops up.
Mm-hmm.
What are some ways that you have seen players effectively stay motivated through those, or what are ways that you as a coach help them, continue to be motivated even when things aren't going necessarily their way?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I think it's the way that you look at what, your definition of success is. In order to get that success, you need to have failed, whether it's through injury or, just you're not getting the playing time that you want. I look back at my career and just, all the things that I've gone through, and my mental toughness was one of my stronger aspects. And I know that is what got me through all those things, through tearing my ACL the 4th day of preseason, my father passing away, teams folding, leagues folding, I was just like, all right, bring it. I'm going to take it head on and just, look to grow from this and, just continue to focus on, what was important to me, so for these, these student athletes who, are going through this time right now where like their seasons got taken away, they're not training with their teams right now, they're having to go through this situation that, like even I haven't gone through a situation like this before. I know our world has, but, focusing on that mental health aspect is huge, it's affecting us all for sure, and I'm sure we're all sick of like these Zoom and Skype conversations. We want to be out on the field together, playing the game that we love. But I mean, that mental toughness aspect is huge, for these players. So it's just something that they need to figure out on their own. There's plenty of resources between webinars, podcasts, apps that you can use. We have a couple that we use with our team. We have a mental health performance coach too. She's awesome, Dr. Tiffany Jones, and we're just giving them the information, but it's up to them, to use it and utilize it and then look to grow from there and get more mentally tough.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I love your emphasis on, your mental toughness being a strength, but not just something that was natural, but like very specifically using the things in life that are tough as a way to build that. And I really think that ability to, take challenging situations, maybe it's somebody passing away, as you said, and find a way to grow stronger through it, is a way to continue staying positive about whatever happens, right? Because we're all going to have good things that happen. We're going to have some bad things that happen. I mean, unfortunately, it's life.
It's life.
And every athlete, kind of gets to make a choice there of am I going to let this move me forward, or am I going to let me pull this back? And one of the quotes to use with it is, the wind blows out a candle, but it makes a bonfire burn hotter, right? And like embracing that concept of like, what's the wind going to do to you, right? Is it going to make you a stronger individual and player, or is it going to break you down?
Yeah.
And especially when they have a strong support system, as you're talking about, a mental health coach, a strong team leader, strong leaders on the team, and a family around them. It's easier to be able to get through those moments effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely is a choice too. Like you said, you can go one way or the other, and it's, what you choose, to take from the situation.
So, you guys obviously have probably more resources than some programs, especially a lot of high school athletes, most likely. What would be some things you would recommend to high school athletes, whether they're soccer or any other sport, that they could be doing right now to making this a time that they're improving, or what are some strategies that they should be looking for to grow during this period?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I did as a player, that I still do now, I mean, I would journal, like journaling is huge. And like, I think there's this sort of label on journaling that it's like, I don't know, like, too girly, or, like emotions aren't a good thing. But we all have the emotions, positive, negative, whatever they are. And just having that self-awareness of, okay, like it's okay to, write about what you were feeling today, maybe before a workout, like maybe you didn't, want to work out today. It's okay that you felt that way. And if you write it down and you write about the feelings that you had during that workout, and then the feelings that you had post-workout, what you were eating, what you were doing to take care of your body, like I wrote down every single thing. And it definitely helped me, one, to be able to look back and just, see what I went through, and that I came out of it stronger, is a little bit of a motivation. And two, just to, acknowledge and put it out there. If you name that emotion and name that issue that you're going through, like you can face it head on. But if you continue to, just stuff it down and not talk about it, whether it's through journaling or talking about it with someone, who is qualified to help you through these situations, like you're not going to grow from it. So journaling is huge. Our players started doing that. And I've heard some good feedback from them about that. I mean, like I said before, there's plenty of like webinars and podcasts, different mental performance apps that, that you can use, focusing on your breathing and just staying in the moment, coming back from a mistake and just doing something positive after a mistake, even if it's very, very simple. For us, if a player makes a bad pass or, gets stripped of the ball and, does whatever after, a way to get back onto that positive success train is to just make a simple pass, make a 2-yard pass. Like that is something successful and it's concrete, and then you can just build on it from there.
Yeah, no, I love that. And we are big proponents of journaling, whether it be, gratitude journal every day, writing down, 5 or 6 things that you're grateful for.
Yes.
What you could have improved at today, what you failed at today, what your goal is for tomorrow. Yeah. Along with, kind of just how things are going. I kind of look at it like stress. Like we all relieve stress. If I don't find a way to do it positively, I'm gonna stumble upon a way to do it negatively.
Absolutely.
And I think looking at ourselves like, oh, it's not going to impact me. It's like it's a recipe for trouble, because you're going to deal with it and you're going to pay for it at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
You might as well build something into your daily life that helps you with that. And I mean, it's funny. I go train jiu-jitsu. I go run a bunch of miles. I go to a wrestling practice, go to soccer practice. And then at the end of the day, if I wanted to de-stress, I'm out in the garden, right? Planting some tomatoes.
I love it.
I think it's important that we see, like, it's about what works for you, but like you need to find something on a daily basis, even if it's just 5 minutes, that I can do to de-stress myself and deal with, those emotions that are going to pop up for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that you brought up the gratitude piece, like, and just having that attitude of gratitude, like it, especially like for something that, we maybe take for granted, whether it's like just, that husband or, the wife or your teammate or the coach that you have that is, pouring into your cup to fill you up, like that, the gratitude is so huge. And I think that is something that I did struggle with as a player. And I just like had that inability to be grateful. And, it's something that, playing professionally, like, it definitely helped me have that attitude of gratitude. So it's definitely, something big. And, you touched on just having like a daily thing that you do. Like I'm so big on routine. I'm like maxed out on OCD-ness. Like I have like color coded calendars and like notifications and stuff like that. I mean, but it works for me. Like you said, it's got to be individual. If you're not that way, fine, but figure out a way that works for you. Like I do the same thing almost every day and I love it. But I still have to be able to adjust to something that is spontaneous. So that's just a whole nother level of, figuring it out for yourself, what you need.
Yeah. Well, and that gratitude, I think you and I, who are, former athletes, and my career was, partially ended with, shoulder injuries. Mm-hmm. I know that injuries played a part in, your decision to move on and go into coaching. We never know when sports are going to be either taken away from us due to an unfortunate circumstance, or maybe we have to make a choice to move on to something else. And I think this year is one of those times that there was a lot of seniors that unfortunately didn't get, either their high school senior year or their college senior year, and, may never play a sport again. And, for younger athletes, I think the big a lesson from that is we don't know what's going to happen in the future. And if I go into every game and every practice grateful, and really appreciating what I have, because we don't know how long it's going to be here. And that's going to go back to that motivation point we talked about. It's going to keep you motivated when things are rough. It's like, I don't have to run sprints. I get to run sprints.
Exactly.
And that change of mindset is so huge when embracing something.
Yeah.
We use the term, be comfortable being uncomfortable a lot is one of the ones we enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
Well, nice. Well, what are some other things that you have noticed among top players, because you played at the pro level, you're coaching high level soccer. What are some of the mental attributes you see among the best that you think those that are good or maybe just don't make it? What is it maybe the top players have that others sometimes lack?
For me, I was very disciplined, very stubborn. I was a perfectionist, and I still am, and that's a part of me that I'm, working on. My pastor told me, it's one of my favorite quotes is, "Your greatest weakness is your strength amplified." So for my strength, it was, just being so disciplined and so hardworking and so motivated, but like, it was a weakness of mine once it got to that point of like trying to make everything perfect and like that fear of failure because I didn't want to make a mistake. Yes. So for those elite athletes, like they're trying to find that balance between the two of, like, it's okay to make a mistake because I know that's how I'm going to grow. And then on the other extreme is just like that hard work and discipline, so for me, like, that's what, does separate the most elite athletes, from those that don't make it. I watched among everybody in the world who was probably watching the GOAT ESPN documentary on Michael Jordan, and just like his competitiveness was just absolutely ridiculous. But, I'm sure that he struggled with, that perfectionism and like wanting to just do everything perfectly and win everything. He did. He was definitely the GOAT, but, it's just really cool, like watching his story and just like learning about that aspect of him too.
Yeah, well, and I think it's really powerful when we have opportunities to get insight into athletes that are that good, to see that a lot of the stuff that they are struggling with are things that we ourselves have struggled with, or like, for high school athletes, I think they often, or even college athletes, they get this picture of the top, they just have always had it. Like, they've always had confidence. They've always had the skill. They've always had the mental resiliency. But a lot of times, you find when you look more closely that those athletes have overcome a lot of the same things, and they've been in that same spot, but they found a way to push through it and past it. And I think it's one of the important things for young athletes to realize is, like, you're not the first that's experienced that anger at a loss. You're not the first that's experienced that struggle with, like, I just want it to be perfect, right? And using those great role models as guides. And, I often say, you got to study the greats. You got to study the people that have come before you if you want to be able to reach where they're at, because there's no reason to cut a new road when the road has already been trodden. You might change the course at some point, but if you got a Michael Jordan to follow, you might as well learn from his mistakes. You might as well learn from his successes, so you don't have to reinvent it all yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's already laid out there. Like you said, it's already paved. It's, just finding individually how that works for you and, how you can follow that same path, like you said, tweaking things. But yeah, no, absolutely.
All right. Well, perfect. Well, as a professional soccer player, you obviously know the game exceedingly well. You played at really high levels. Talk to me a little bit about that transition from athlete to coach, right? And sure. I think all coaches have gone through that. Mm-hmm. But, I think in my mind, there's a big difference between being an athlete and being a coach. So just talk to me a little bit about that transition for you and what you maybe had to change to really excel at the coaching aspect of sports.
Yeah, absolutely. I started, my coaching career while I was still playing. In the off season, we had to have something to do, and a bunch of professional teammate friends, we created a girls' academy. So we got to, coach through there. So, I knew ultimately it was going to be something that I was going to do just because the game did give me so much. It saved my life pretty much. It gave me so much freedom and just gave me so much opportunity to travel the world and, create these relationships and develop these skills. But, that transition was very, very hard, to be honest, and like I told you earlier, like I had gotten a lot of concussions and I had to make that decision, because my health is above playing the game, but at the time it was very hard. And I went through, a deep depression because I was mourning over the loss of, something so big in my life. It wasn't my identity. And, that was something that like I learned throughout playing the game that, soccer was just a big part of my life. It's something that, I had absolute passion for, and it was something that gave me opportunity, but it wasn't my identity. So, it just took some time to come back to like who I was as that person, and, who I came into, from playing the game. I owe a lot of who I am today to the game and just all the teammates and coaches. So, I mean, it was a tough transition. I had to take some time off. I did enter the real world for a little bit, working, marketing, building websites, social media, working for my church. But ultimately I came back to the game, like it found me again. And, it was very hard at first because I was coaching like I was still a player. And that was just another, process of me becoming the coach that I am today, and just coaching more like a coach. I can't really pinpoint the difference, the major differences, but, being able to teach the game, because to kind of backtrack, like as a player, like I loved like teaching my teammates, and it was easy for me to teach them because I can just show them how to do something or just work on their mechanics. But as a coach, I can't always jump in, like my body's falling apart. I'll jump in once in a while with my team just because I love doing it, and, love nutmegging them, and they get fearful of me nutmegging them. And that's like my glory for the day. But I have to learn how to, coach the game from the sideline. And for me, that was a really, really big struggle because I was so used to knowing the game, being on the field versus being on the sideline and just letting them figure things out. So it's definitely been a process, but I mean, I love coaching. It's, what I'm supposed to be doing. And I know that I'm supposed to be the head coach at Marymount right now. And, it's definitely been an awesome journey becoming the coach that I am today. And for me, like, yes, it's about the soccer. I'm going to teach them all the cool things that I learned, but, I had a pretty sharp, coaching philosophy shift. And where I was a coach, it was more about winning and winning at all costs and just teaching everyone to be the best soccer player in the world. But, it shifted to more about the person, physically, emotionally, spiritually, just shaping them for, their next step. College is a very important time in their life, those 4 to 5 years, whatever it is. It's preparing them for the real world. You're not going to get what you have in college after college. It's definitely a very, very different world out there. So, for me as a coach right now, it's just, focusing on the person and just making sure that they have a fun and positive experience too.
Now, do you find when you've coached more towards building better people, that character piece, that your relationships and the ease of coaching got easier?
Absolutely, without a doubt. For me, I'm such a big quote person, and one of my favorite quotes is, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So for me, it's first establishing that relationship with them. And I had a very, I guess, fortunate, way of how I got the job at Marymount. I was the assistant at Maryland for 3 years, and that last spring with Maryland, the Maryland girls wanted me to finish out the spring, and Marymount was okay with that, so I did that. But I missed out on Marymount spring season, and I started with them right after their last game. So it was kind of good that I didn't get to coach them on the field right away because I could focus on the off the field relationships first. And I had individual meetings with them and ask them what their why was. Why did they get up in the morning? I wanted to just know about them and how to coach them and how to treat them as people. So it's just a very fortunate, like the way things that worked out with that job transition, and I still treat it the same way, with all the 2020 commits that we have coming in. I've, spent hours with them on the phone, getting to know them, asking about their families, how do you like to be coached? And now I know them, I can now, once I know them, I can, coach them on the field. So I'm really, really excited for this fall season and the team that we've got moving forward.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'll hit you with my own quote that's up this alley is, without a significant relationship, there can be no significant learning, right? Which I think it angles in that importance of that relationship. And that's what I have found for myself is as an athlete, like I came to view sports of like, this is the way to play. And as I became a coach, it's realizing like, wow, there's like different ways to be good. And there's different ways that people need to be motivated, and there's different ways for people to overcome certain things. And, it's really been the realization as a coach that like I can't approach them where I'm at. I got to approach them where they're at. And if I'm going to know where they're at, I got to learn a lot about them. And like, it's really, I have found coaching is just studying people. And like, I have become a student of young men and young women and what has helped them and, you know, what they're struggling with. And the more I learn, the easier it gets for me to make some suggestions. That's, you know, I think we all go through that process of going from athlete to coach, and you know, it's fun. It's another adventure on the journey. And I don't know about you, but I love sports because of those moments of achievement where I could see my own personal growth. And it's a different way to experience it. And it's a way where you're learning about yourself and you're having success as you serve others. And I've always found it to be one of the most passionate things in the world to be part of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought up that part about just like going down to their level. I think coaches do make the mistake that it's like, you know, especially, you know, with an older generation and dealing with, you know, just a different generation that's coming up, and just how they know how to communicate versus how maybe these old school coaches know how to communicate. And these coaches make the mistake that like, no, like they need to adapt to us, but no, like in reality, like we need to adapt to them. So I'm learning about TikTok and all the other like cool stuff. I not exactly still know what TikTok is for, but no, I mean, I do, you know, generally try to, you know, get into what they're into and try to teach them about what I'm into also. But I mean, it is going down to their level and just understanding that, you know, like this is just who they are, you know, and it's just accepting that and loving them for that.
Yeah, no, and I love that. And, you know, it falls very in line with, you know, we talk about predator mindset a lot. With that mindset, it's one of our key beliefs, which basically, you know, is focus on what you can control, not what you can't. And as coaches, we have to have a predator mindset as well. I can't expect other people to do things to start off with. The first thing I got to change is myself, because I'm going to have the most control over me of anybody. And, you know, I got to expect that, like, if someone's going to shift and be flexible, I got to be the first person to do that. And, you know, teaching by modeling is always going to be better than teaching by, you know, wagging your finger and telling. And so when you're directly showing, like, you know, you're going to see my growth, right? And I hope all my athletes that I coach see my growth as an individual. I find it creates a much stronger relationship and bond, and makes it much easier to fulfill my goal, you know? So, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like in athletics, there are going to be things we do that we don't necessarily want to, but if the goal is important enough, I'm willing to sacrifice about anything. Absolutely. And sometimes that's like, it's not as much about my desire or maybe even what I think is the right way to do it. It's like, well, what do I got to do to achieve that thing? And as long as it's not against my morals or my values and it's not bad for people, I'm willing, or I should be willing to take that step to make that happen. And if the goal is strong enough, I mean, I'm going to find the motivation to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
All right. Well, Manya, I really appreciate you coming on. I've really loved, you know, the conversation and what we've talked about. Some really, really big pieces. And I'm already thinking about 2 or 3 other ways or topics we could jump into.
Absolutely.
But do you have any closing thoughts or topics that you'd like to hit before we finish up?
I mean, for me, and you know, this is really big for me, is just like the positive. And I mean, I was always the smallest player out on the field, and I had coaches tell me that I would never make it in soccer. You know, and I've had some great coaches too, who you know, who did motivate me and help me along that journey. But I mean, just, you know, some advice to players now is just, you know, number one, like, make sure you're still having fun. You know, for me, that is the most important piece, because if you're not having fun, why are you doing it? You know, if you're doing it because your parents are paying all this money or they want you to do it and you're not having fun, you know, what's the point of that? So have fun, stay positive, you know, just don't listen to the negative out there, you know, and just continue to find ways to make it fun and get better.
All right. Well, I agree with all of that wholeheartedly. All right. So anybody that's looking for a great soccer program to be part of, Marymount is looking for great players to make part of their family.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you coming on today, and you be safe and be well.
Yeah. Thanks, Jake. You too.
Of course.
All right.